Welcome, low ego action heroes. This is Debbie Levitt from deltacx.com. We're a full service CX and UX consultancy. Check us out, though my site needs updating. And welcome. It's time to blow off steam with our Friday reaction stream. This is where I'll be looking at some things that you have sent in and give my opinions on them. And of course, anybody joining live in the chat room is also welcome to ask their questions or give their opinions. And we're going to have a special added thing today. I'm trying out a new live polling system. So, and I should say hashtag not sponsored. I am going to be paying them. And I'd like everybody to join in on the live poll and let's see if we like this system or not, because I'm going to pay for it. So in the middle of our broadcast, we'll do a poll and we'll see what you think of the live polling system. So before I jump in, of course, a quick thank you to the people who have joined on YouTube and are using the YouTube membership system to support the channel financially, which is totally optional, but always appreciated, especially since I ate some delicious cheese today and I felt grateful for all of you. So if you want to support the channel, totally optional, and thanks to the people who are. Okay, so let's jump over to what everybody sent me and let's see what we think of it and what you think of it, more importantly. All right, so we've got the chat room, the tip jar, my browser, me, puffy hair. Okay, so here we go. This is a very recent article in UX Collective, and it's by Mitch Clements, who I don't think I know, so I don't have any personal opinions on him in either direction. And sounds like he comes from product management and UX design, but I didn't dig into his LinkedIn to see what he's saying because it may or may not matter here. So I skimmed this article earlier, and here's what I found, that there are various now, Marty Kagan and some of these other people, these are product managers who write a lot of books or have training. And I've noticed that Marty and Teresa Torres and some other people tend to have definitions of product that definitely get into doing the UX work. But of course, they're writing books about product. And so they want the product managers to be able to do all the things. And over here, us in UX say, nope, nope, no, thank you. No, please, no. So they're saying that the product managers are in charge of value and viability, and UX designers are in charge of usability, which of course to me is completely missing the point of having UX people on staff. It definitely can lead companies to make UX more of a pair of hands or a product designer or a production designer, where it's like, hey, look, we've determined the value of this. We've determined if it's viable. We might have even determined what it's going to be. You just make it usable. So I think that that is definitely trouble, because while I don't think product managers are involved in the usability, I do believe that UX is involved in determining the value, certainly through research, both generative and evaluative. And the viability is probably going to be a little bit more, in my opinion, product collaborating with engineering. You know, usually we can't say what's viable or not. It's usually product looking at the business goals and initiatives and strategies and KPIs, and engineering looking at what's technically feasible. So to me, that even looks like an overlap with engineering that product maybe should not wholly own. Hi, Steph. So this is what this person disagrees with. They're saying the definition of value is whether customers will buy it or users will choose to use it. Now that to me starts to get into marketing. So it sounds like these people writing these product books just believe that product is everything and everywhere. They're in marketing, they're in engineering, they're in UX. And of course, to me, that's going to create culture problems, conflicts, and other problems. Yeah, Madalena says product can't do everything, and they shouldn't. Let's see. And then this guy says, because remember, we're assessing this article, he says, whether customers will buy it should be product management, and if users choose to use it should be UX. I still don't see how that works. If somebody chooses to not use it, is that our fault? Are we held accountable for that? And how many people have to choose to not use it for us to be accountable for that? I kind of don't get it. And they're saying, well, look, I found people who agree with me. Congratulations. And so ultimately, I would have to say this article really isn't doing it for me. I think that this person has taken a very flawed model where product is just the king and queen over everything and turned it into a soft Venn diagram. Madalena says, what if the design is brilliant, but the pricing is crap? Yeah, exactly. There's a lot of things that happen at companies that we are not responsible for, like marketing, brand management, pricing, our sales team. It's another reason why I never work on commission. I say like, yeah, I'm not going to take a percentage of your sales. I have no idea what the rest of your company is doing. I can only do what I do. So I would have to give this 1 or 0 dogs out of 5 dogs. Let's put them up. And so I would have to say no on this one. I don't think this is a model to follow, and I don't think like Mitch has really improved it. I think it's still going to create conflict for products and UX, and really we should be fixing that. But I've got something for that. Madalena says people don't buy it. What's UX got to do with that? Yeah, good question. Okay, the next thing I was sent, someone said that someone presented this at their company and said it was a diagram of how UX research is going to work. I think that's what it said. Now, first of all, this for me is cognitive load. This is definitely not easy at a glance. Hi, Kayla. I cannot look at this and know exactly what's going on. I have to think it out and talk it out. To me, anything coming from the UX team in diagram form should live up to our own standards and be really easy to digest quickly. So let's take a look. If the problem isn't known and we don't know the solution, which really should be everything because, seriously, then we are in a strategic or exploratory phase. Okay. If the problem is unknown, but we know the solution, that's not a thing. That's not a thing. Not a thing. There should be an empty box there. If we don't know the problem, we can't know the solution. So I understand that if we think we know the solution, then we have a tactical work to do or experimentation. But I would certainly suggest, especially for a UX research team trying to create their strategy and stand their ground and explain when you need us, I would probably put a big box there that says, go back to strategic. Like the strategic or exploratory should just be a wide band across everything. Madalena says, when you don't know the problem, but you know the solution, how does that even work? Yeah, that's what I'm saying too. So this is not a thing, and I would recommend against that because what this leads companies to do is a lot of risk and waste. You end up saying, look, we don't really know what's going on, but we're just going to start guessing at stuff. And of course, companies do this every day. This is common, and in some cases, it's what some trainers and books recommend. But I want us to think critically about it. Think about the disaster projects your company has had and the time and money and customer trust that have been wasted when we didn't fully understand a problem or we didn't understand it well enough and we thought we knew the solution and we spent weeks and months building stuff and putting it out. So this shouldn't be here. Let's look at the bottom part. We know the problem. Okay, so we know the problem. In my opinion, this means that we have done the proper generative, exploratory, discovery research to truly have correctly defined the problem, tasks, unmet needs, pain points, the usual. Okay, we know the problem, but we don't know the solution. So we're going to do experimentation. Yeah, I would probably put well, I guess the question is, if it's tactical, is this tactical research or tactical design? Because if you know the problem, because the research has been completed, then we're probably moving, into a design phase. Are they saying that if we think we know the problem, UX research is going to do something experimental. So I don't totally get this. I think what could be down here would be a product discovery phase or early experimenting. Madalena says, reminds me of Larry Marine's, this looks like a solution waiting for a problem. Yeah, he's got a couple of quotes around that type of thing. So this doesn't seem quite right either. And again, I think once you talk it out loud, you can see where some of the weaknesses are here. And then they can just, it's all about iteration. They can iterate on this and make a better version. If we know the problem and we know the solution, then we are in an execution phase. Well, if we know the problem and we know the solution, that means UX is done, because we can't know the solution until we've done our concepts and our designs and our prototypes and usability tested them and iterated on them. And now we're done and we know the solution. Now it's actually the delivery phase. Now it goes over to engineering to be built. So I have to admit, I kind of don't get this. And I would have to say I kind of don't agree. And I think that this isn't really obvious to look at. And I think we shouldn't just use general words like we're being strategic, we're being tactical, we're being operational. I mean, I can also tell that this looks like it was taken from somebody. This looks like it was screenshot because this is pixelated. So I'm assuming they took this from somebody, but I think it's not strong and should be rethought. I also think we just have to be a little bit more specific, because if I'm a product manager, I look at this and I go, where are we? What are we doing? So I would have to say I'm not feeling this. All right, let's take a look. Someone sent me this video. It runs about 4.5 minutes long. I watched it at a high speed. And this person, obviously they have the, say it with me, the clickbait title, which is unfortunate. This is someone I've seen on LinkedIn, but when he posts, it's usually not something that I tend to agree with. So I do see him come up in LinkedIn from time to time, but I really don't know him. Maybe he sent it in because he's hoping to get more subscribers. Maybe somebody else sent it in. I have no idea, because this doesn't have this has 1,100 views, which is nice, but he doesn't have a lot of subscribers. So 1,100 people watched it, and not everybody wanted to subscribe after watching it. So there's that too. So basically, this was really about 4 minutes of him telling stories that I felt didn't have anything to do with his point. And then his point was about 30 seconds of we shouldn't need UX leaders or a head of UX, because UX is everybody's responsibility. So we don't need a head of UX. And I guess according to him, that means we're not going to need the UX profession at all. Well, then I guess we don't need him, right? I mean, like, is he undoing his own job? This is like when I say ageist people are setting up a future for themselves that they're not going to like. So I think the clickbait here is strong. I would like to give it a dislike, but I'm not signed in, and I think it'll ask me to sign in. Yeah. So dislike, though hypothetically dislikes do, YouTube considers them engagement, and it can sometimes amplify that video because you engaged, ooh, it got you interested. So typically I don't even click dislike. So yeah, if he is some sort of UX practitioner or UX coach, then he is undoing his own industry and cannibalizing his whole future. So I don't get it. And of course, I disagree with him. I disagree with his concept that we don't need a head of UX because everybody is somehow responsible for the UX. I believe that customer centricity is something that every domain and department need to think about, but UX is still UX. We are still specialists. There should be a head of UX. And yes, everyone should be thinking about the user needs and customer outcomes, but it doesn't mean that we don't still have a specialization for this. Kayla says, is this designed by committee? I don't know. I stopped the video about 20 seconds short of when it was going to end, so I don't know if he mentions that, but he just made it sound like Well, UX is something every department should be caring about. Every department should be caring about the user experience. So we don't need a head of user experience because everybody should care about the user experience. It's not one team's, his point seemed to be it's not one team's thing, it's everybody's thing. Stephanie says he has a nice book on psychology for designers and sells workshops on the topic. I'm surprised by the content, but maybe it's to promote some courses. Yeah, maybe I didn't make it that far. Maybe at the end it's, and please take my course. No, it looks like it ends with Mr. Joe. So, yeah, I like this. I agree with the point, but it won't happen. I do not agree. Coaching and working with teams to make better choices sounds like a head of UX, so that person disagrees. I can only assume Joe was a pretty awful UXer. Good UX doesn't just happen, and UX is like software engineering. Yeah, so great. So it looks like the people commenting, hi Iton, are kind of half and half on this, but I appreciate that some people are openly disagreeing. So there you go. So what did he say? Nope, he doesn't agree that we own the user experience. Everybody owns the user experience. So there you have it, everybody. We don't need you. If it were up to Joe, he would end your profession. So that means it's time for a poll. Everybody, let's try my new polling system. Please go to, I'm thinking about buying this company and leaving the old company that I was using because I am just too mad at them. So let's try this one. This is vvox.app, which you can do from your phone or a computer. vevox.app. Go to, let's see, I guess it's code 143034307. And how do you feel about that last video? I know you didn't watch it and I described it to you, but we're just practicing using my polling system. Was this meaningful? Was this actionable? Meanwhile, Jose says, is that image shared on the short video? What image? He didn't have any images here. It's just a close-up of his face and then Mr. Joe at the end. So that's it. So let's see. We're looking at, we have had one person, 4 people. Oh, 4 people are saying not meaningful, not actionable. Anybody want to give a little extra love? 5 people. Oh, ouch. Ouch, Mr. Joe. And while you're using the polling system, let me know in the comments what you think of the polling system. I've got a few more polls that we're going to do together just so we can practice different aspects of the polling system. 2 out of 5 people. What does this mean? Does that mean... Steph says, I'm not sure if the question is on the Joe video or your analysis. Yeah, you know what? Since we're just playing with my polling system, respond to whatever you like. I would have you respond to the Joe video, but I know you didn't watch it. So really, we're just playing with the polling system. And I'm going to... I've created 4 polling questions today. We're going to try them, and then we're going to do the last 2 things that were sent in. So, okay, someone says a little bit meaningful, almost meaningful, slightly meaningful, almost actionable. Kayla says, having seen what developers design on their own, I can confidently say UX specialization is needed, LOL. I agree. Jose says, all I see is the initial image. Brian says, buonasera, buonasera, Brian. Yeah, I am not running the video so that I don't get a copy strike. I have the video paused. You can watch the video if you would like, but he probably makes ad money on it, perhaps. All right. So we had some people voting. Thanks for that. Let's go over, let's see, did anyone ask a question? Yeah, testing QA and VBox. Yeah, let's try it. All right, so let's try the next poll that I set up for you. Now, how do I switch to the next one? I think I have to stop this poll, and then I can pick the next poll. Okay, here it is. Hey, everybody, what's for dinner? What's everybody having for dinner today? Again, just practicing my polling system, seeing what you think of it, seeing how the results look, waiting for some answers. then we'll go back to our last two things. One is an Erica Hall post, and the other is a TikTok someone sent. Let's see what the results are. Whatever's left in the fridge, and I'm scared to check. Ooh, sounds spooky. If anybody wants to join in live, you can play along. Swiss chicken and green beans. I wonder what makes chicken Swiss. Is it the Swiss cheese? Ramen. Oh, someone's on a student budget. Stuffed sweet potatoes. Sounds very scary. Stuffed sweet potatoes, not scary. I meant fancy. Dim sum. Oh, I haven't had that in years. That sounds great. I'm jealous of whoever wrote that. Sounds super. All right, so I'm going to move to the next poll just for practice, because again, we are trying out a polling system that I'm thinking of paying for. And the next question is, how would you rate Delta CX reaction streams in general using these predefined answers? Oh, Yasir, you made it before I'm ending the show. Great to see you. We're playing with my polling system I'm thinking about paying for, and I want to hear if people like it, don't like it, easy to use, not easy to use. Should I pay for this? Oh, people are voting, and I had it turned off. Let's take a look. Fun! I think I set it up so you can pick two things. So I think you can make two answers here. You could say boring and fun. I think you can pick two. Did it let you pick two? Maybe try picking. There we go. Too short. That's got to be I-10. I-10 wants the 2 hours of drama. All right, we got 9 people joining in the poll. Madalena says, what's wrong with the current polling provider you're using? Oh, did I only set it to one answer? I thought I set it to 2. Okay, thanks everybody. I'll have to play with, maybe the next question is 2? I don't remember. Okay, sorry, only 1. The current provider I'm using, plenty of problems. Won't talk about that today. Let's see how we feel about this one. Okay, let's go to the next poll, and this is the last one, which is a word cloud, which is, I'm testing Vivox for live polls, hashtag not sponsored. What do you think? And of course, fun. You can join in at vivox.app 143-034-307. Planning to use these for some of my live workshops. I currently use a competitor, but I have not been happy with the competitor. IDN is too long. What is IDN? Can someone write in the chat room what you meant by that? I don't know. Viva la Vivox? I don't know. I'm still playing with them. Simple. Okay, good. I would want it to have good UX. There's no way I want to go out there with a bad UX thing. The ID, oh, the ID of the poll. Yeah, you know, the company that I use now has 8-digit numbers, and this is a 9-digit number, so I don't think it's a significant difference. Also, I could create a short code at my URL shortener. I could do deltacx.link/something, and that would dump you there. But yeah, so 9 numbers can feel a little bit long, but my current one is 8, so it's not crazy. ID number. Put link or ID in chat. Okay. All right. Thanks to everybody who... Did anyone try the Q&A questions? There's a little tab there where you can add questions. We can vote them up. You can like them and vote them up. Meh. Well, what's so meh about it? Well, I think we've had a good time with the poll, and I would love to hear what you think in the chat comments. Thanks to everybody for playing along. I am late. Well, yes, you're a little late. We've just been playing with an online polling system, and now we're going to look at our last 2 things and wind down the stream. But for those of you making comments in the needs more cheese, oh, for sure. Only 20 characters. Okay, that I didn't know. But since it's the word cloud, it's not an open response answer. What's for dinner was the open response. So I guess for word cloud, it's meant for short things where maybe some people might type the same thing so that if a whole bunch of people typed simple, that word should get really big. So I can see why that would be only 20 characters. And that if I wanted longer answers, we would do the what's for dinner version, because there were different question types. All right, thanks for playing along. Now let's take a look at our last two things on the reaction stream, and also let me know in the chat if you would like me to do more live polls like this in any of the Delta CX shows. All right, so this was a post by Erica Hall on LinkedIn, someone who I am familiar with but don't know personally, and I haven't read her books. So I don't generally have too strong an opinion about her in either direction. Some of you can start letting me know in the chat room if you have an opinion on her or her books in either direction. But let's take a look at what she's saying. Good interaction design begins at home. Folks working in software are probably familiar with Melvin Conway's eponymous law from his paper, How Do Committees Invent? Quote, any organization that designs a system will produce a design whose structure is a copy of the organization's communication structure, end quote. That really speaks to the conceptual limits of the information architecture of a system. The old website reflects the org chart issue, which still manifests today. And organizations love to redesign themselves by doing reorgs. What's striking to me is the degree to which organizations, as living dynamic systems that exist to facilitate action, neglect their own internal interaction design. It's rare that anyone in charge of making sure that communication among the members of the system is clear, efficient, humane, goal-oriented, and rich in helpful feedback. I'm not saying it's easy, but many leaders aren't even trying. It's the invisible work that no one thinks of as anyone's responsibility. There's often a hope that just throwing new technology at the situation will resolve the problem. This is especially apparent in these times. It seems like so many people I talk to are going from one poorly framed and facilitated Zoom to another out of habit or anxiety, while also in infinity Slack chats with no one stepping back to assess the whole situation and suggest intentional choices or adjustments based on principles. If work culture is really undergoing a significant transformation, this is a good place to start. We know so much about cognitive overload when it comes to HCI that we could apply to human mediated by computer interactions. If your organization is more intentional and effective and humane about communication than this, I'd love to hear about it. Well, I would love to go back to one of our polls and ask you the first question again. Oop, I hit the wrong button. I'm still learning this system. Rerun this poll. Hey everybody, what you just saw, is that meaningful and actionable? Let's poll this. vvox.app 143-034-307. We just read Erica's LinkedIn post out loud, and I'm wondering how you took it. Did you take it as being meaningful? Did you take it as being actionable? Something you can jump in at your job and do? And I'm going to hide the responses until we get some. I10 says, it makes sense, but I'm not sure how I'd act on it. Well, then, rate meaningful and actionable. Two votes. I'll wait for a couple more votes so we don't ruin it, and then we'll look at the last thing. Okay, we got 3 votes. Let's see how we're doing so far. Better, more meaningful than average, not totally actionable. Actionable is dropping. Byron says, meaningful, yes. Actionable, impossible unless you're at the top. Yeah, it did sound like a bit of a top-down change. This is one of those things that sounds hard for the worker bees of the world to go and initiate, or how do they even start that conversation? That's why I always talk about Meaningful, actionable, and helpful. I always hope that authors and speakers and trainers, when they're making points and posts like this, will tell you, and here's where you start. Or, hey, worker bee, there isn't going to be much you can do, but leader, here's where you start. I always hope for that. So there. Madalena says +1. All right, everybody. So it looked like we thought that post was mostly meaningful, but unfortunately not that actionable. Wah, wah. I'm going to have to download that sound. The final thing someone sent me was a TikTok video, and I appreciate y'all downloading TikTok videos and sending them over because I don't use TikTok. So there you go. And this was a guy who appears in the video as a bit of a floating head. Looks like his TikTok name is Cozy Akili. Cozyakili. I don't know who he is, but from what he was talking about, he sounded like he was a HCI person or human factors person. He seemed to really know his stuff. So he seemed like a very trustworthy, reliable source, which I'm only pointing out because you never know what you're going to get on TikTok. And he was talking about affordances and other things about Kim Kardashian's new outdoor sinks or indoor sinks. I don't know why there's all these sinks, but there's a lot of sinks. And the idea was that the sink didn't really have that bowl, and he was commenting on the design. And, oh, Byron says, I like Erica. Okay, there you go. Well, then tell her how to make it more actionable. So he was talking about the design of the sink. So from the perspective of this guy and his video, I thought his video was great. I thought he made a lot of interesting points and kind of separating out different aspects of the design. But he also felt that there were things that were confusing about the design, that it does not look like a normal sink. You know, where is the basin or the bowl? And we just have like a little slanted area and the water's going to drain down into that slot. And then he kind of asks, like, can confusing design still be good design? And I think that ultimately I didn't find this design that confusing. It still looks like a sink. It still looks like we have, you know, hot and cold. We have something where the water is clearly going to come out of, and we have something that the water is clearly going to drain into. So I wasn't too sure if this was really that confusing. Brian says, I10 says, I like him. I'm following him. He knows his poop. Yeah, he really seemed great. If I used TikTok, I would follow him too. Brian says, I've never seen a sink like this. And Madalena says, I didn't realize it was a sink. Yeah, and for that reason, he recognizes that it could be causing confusion, that at first you're looking at this long bar and this hole in it, and you don't necessarily see all of the sink pieces. Now, Kayla says, that looks functional to me. I want one. What I thought, and he didn't mention this, maybe he has it in another video because I didn't watch all the stuff. Madalena says, if you turn on the tap and the water has a lot of pressure, won't it splash everywhere? That is a good question. Steph says, I don't understand how you wash the dishes, or is this the bathroom? How does the water flow? It looks really flat. Yeah, I don't know that either. There was another part of the video where it looked like there were just, it was like two of these up against a mirror. And so I guess it's like, you know, his and hers sinks or something like that. But the thing that I was worried about, where's a close-up picture? Here we go. So the thing that I was worried about, in addition to the things that all of you said, was, wow, the controls look really far away from where you're going to stand. This would require someone with long arms. This would require someone very bent over. So this will require you to be a certain height to bend over, to reach over. You know, I don't know the exact measurements here, but we can all kind of guess how deep this is from how big a sink faucet usually is. I10 says, it doesn't. Kim showed it in her Insta story, and it works. Brian says, decreased sink functionality for design aesthetics, I guess. You can use it. Madalena says, how about you go from behind? Yeah, I don't know. I don't think you can go from behind, because even if you could swivel it around, now you're running the water into the area that he said the area where the slot is on a little slope so that it'll drain. It looks like you wouldn't want to run the water behind it because that area isn't sloped, so it wouldn't drain. It would just run over the side. Steph says, congratulations on making me Google something Kardashian for the first time in my life. Sorry. I10 says, there's a book about these kind of designs. I'll find the name. Don't move. Yeah, so look, I think that this definitely has interesting aesthetics. And I think it wouldn't be that confusing because you see the handles and you see the faucet, and you'd eventually notice you turn on the water and it goes down the slot. But I feel like you would have to be really tall because it looks like everything is arm's length away. Does it look like that to you too? Steph says it's not 100% flat, so it flows. Yeah, that's what he was saying. But to me, at least from this picture, the slope looks like it starts where the handles and the sink are. I'm not sure if the whole thing is sloped, because if you look back here, but it's really hard to tell. Anyway, yeah, Madalena says, tie some ropes, pull the rope. Yeah, this looks like the length of my arms away from there. So this is definitely not for kids. It's definitely not for short arm people. And Brian says, it's all fun until a guest or a guest's kid clogs up the slot. Great point, Brian. How do you fix this sink? What if the sink gets clogged? What if you drop something down it? You can't even see it. Is there look like there's drawers under here. Can you get into this area, or what happens? Yeah, this is why we're all on this channel. Critical thinking. Yay! Y'all are my favorites. So great points, great thinking. This is what I love to see. And this guy was good too. If you're on TikTok, give him a follow. And Steph says, don't worry, it's Kim. She just buys a new one. Don't worry. Yeah, right. If you drop your $4 million ring down the sink, just go get another. Just let it flow into the waste system. Yeah, so while I think this certainly has lovely and interesting aesthetics, and while I think it is usable, I think it does ask a lot of deeper usability and accessibility questions, including maintenance, repairs, and other problems. Kayla says, it's for a short person with long arms. Yeah, I don't even know. I wish they had a video of someone using it to see, how am I supposed to use it? Am I supposed to lean way over this thing and bend at the waist and hover over it? Because when I think about our own bathroom vanities, I think about how short these things are. These are 40 centimeters or 60 centimeters, whatever they are. I10 says, I found it. It's called White by Design by Bo Niles. Okay. Madalena says, maybe she has a normal sink and this one is for attention. Yeah, right. Maybe this is in the guest room and guests have to put up with this, and she has a normal sink in her room. I have no idea. I can't begin to guess anything about Kim Kardashian, and you shouldn't either. But there you go. So something fun and interesting for today. We tried a couple of new things. Thanks to whoever sent that. That was good fun. So heading back to giant picture of me. Everybody, please remember to subscribe here on the YouTube channel. If you've had fun today, won't you find 3 people who might enjoy these streams and this channel? I know you know a few people. You've been messaging them. The unwanted guest, yes. I'll send his another video for the next stream. Okay, sure, let's get to know this guy. He's got interesting points. Super. Maybe we should, if you can find out his real name, send me his LinkedIn. Maybe we can have him on the show for a proper show. So quick show notes for what's coming next week. Remember, it's still February and I have a lot of deadlines, so I haven't scheduled a lot of shows. That means Monday is Think Out Loud, but I still have nothing to do for Think Out Loud. So won't you all please, oops, wrong button. It's still not sponsored. Won't you please go to deltacx.com/links and suggest something for Monday's Think Out Loud session? Otherwise, maybe I will just take it off and keep working on my deadlines. Tuesday, office hours, ask me anything. No special guests there. Wednesday, taking it off. Friday, reaction stream. Yeah. And then March, we get cooking again. March 2nd will be Larry Marine doing a micro lesson. That's going to be great. Hopefully, March 3rd, we still have Stephanie and Ben coming on for 2022 predictions. Even though 2022 is going to feel, 18% over by then, it'll still be fun, and you know it. And I am starting to schedule more things for March. So there you go. Alrighty, so that is the story here. Thanks to everybody for watching and hanging out. I hope everybody will be safe and careful this weekend. I know a lot of places are relaxing their COVID requirements, but let's face it, COVID's not over, and it's still something I don't want to get. So I am double masking when I go out into the public. You can laugh and point at me if you would like, but I'm going to try to not get COVID because I was sick for a few days after getting the third shot, and I didn't like that. So if I think I don't like that, I'm really not going to like getting COVID. So that's my choice. You make yours. And thanks again for hanging out, everybody. And I look forward to seeing you. If I don't see you Monday because we have nothing to think out loud about, I will see you Tuesday for office hours. Have a great weekend, and I'll see everybody on our Slack channel. Bye. Customer centricity as business intelligence. Visit deltacx.com to learn why we are